everyone, this is Rashi and welcome back to the Reading Platter. So in today's video, we are going to talk about my favorites of 2020. So there were a lot of good books I read in 2020 and a lot of bad ones too. But the good ones are way more than the bad ones. So actually in this video, we are going to talk about 20 of my favorite books from 2020. Also, there are a lot of standalones with a few series and also a few novellas. So let's get started. So there are a lot of books that I want to talk about. So I will be giving a brief synopsis of what the book is and why I love it, and all of the book reviews out of these books that I have already posted on my channel will be linked up in the I button, so you can check that out too. Also, I will be linking all the blogs that I wrote on these, all the reviews that I wrote on these down in the description box, so you can read that too. So let's get the book started. So the first book is The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky, and this is a YA contemporary, and also a little bit of romance and LGBTQ. So actually this story is about a boy, Charlie, who narrates his story through letters. Like, he write letters to a friend. You do not know who he is or she is, or where he or she live, but he narrates a story how it is to be an LGBTQ, and how the world is and how his life is from his view. He shares his life and how tragic it's been, how happy it's been, and how wonderful it is sometimes, and how sad it is sometimes. And it is such a beautiful story, such a refreshing one. And it tells you to deal with your problems, and to share, to make good friends, to keep them, and how to deal with high school and stuff and everything. And it is such a beautiful story. I loved it so much. I read it in like the beginning of 2020, and it was such a beautiful story. I guess it was recommended to me on Instagram by someone. So if you have a very good recommendations, or maybe book recommendations, books that you loved, please do ping me on Instagram. My Instagram will be linked down in the description, and I will definitely read those books and review them for you. So yeah, of course. So the next book is Radio Silence by Alice Oseman, and it is also YA contemporary, also with a pinch of LGBTQ+. Also, I have told in my previous reviews a dedicated video which I did on Radio Silence, where I reviewed this book. I told that there was LGBTQ, but it wasn't a cliche, and it wasn't like, like, there was no such romance. It is listed as a romance book, but there was no such romance that you cannot read. If you don't like reading romance, you can read it. It has nothing romance in it, like one or two bits, and that is just a part of the story, and not the story is related on it. So this was my first book by Alice Oseman, and I love her so much. She is now my favorite author, and I just love how she writes. I love how she represents, how she tells the story. I won't be talking much about this one because I have a fully dedicated video on this, which will be linked in the I button and also in the description for you to check out. So this story is about a girl who is just into studies, and she's just a study machine. And then she meets someone who has a podcast on YouTube, and but he does not show his face on the podcast. So it is just a story, and she loves that podcast. And she also is a she also draws fan fiction So one day they meet, but she do not know that this guy has a podcast. So she just know that there is a podcast, but she do not know that the guy she's meeting is the owner of the podcast. So they talk, and he gets to know that she listens to it, the study machine listens to my podcast. So he gets excited, he tells her, and also they work together. She draws stuff for the podcast, he narrates the podcast, and there are situations where they have fight, and but their friendship is so true that they are there for each other. And it is such a beautiful story, not only just the ending, but the whole story is so beautiful. You should try this book, you should read this book, and this is just a lovely book. So the next book is my most favorite book, like favorite book of all times. I rave about this book on this channel a lot. I just love this book. The book is Wonder by RJ Palacio, and I also have a dedicated video for this one too. So this book is a contemporary realistic fiction, and like this is just beyond explanation, you know. So there is a boy named Augie who has deformalities on his face. So no one loves him, no one likes him, but his parents and his friends are there for him. So he now goes to a new school because he cannot be homeschooled, and his parents want to face the world, his parents want him to face the world. So they send him to a school where he has to, you know, face a lot of problems, but he make friends. Some of them are forced to be his friend, but there are some who are willingly his friends, and they love him so much, they support him. And it is just beautiful how this boy, who is so intelligent, but because of his deformalities, he cannot get you know, in the world. But when he does, he changes everything. He's this sweet little boy who makes friends, who change people's perspectives, and who stands for himself, who make great friends. And it is just beyond explanation. I love this book. It was so beautifully, so beautifully written. It had small chapters, which is always a plus point that I talked to you about. And it is a very fast read. It is a big one, but it is really so beautiful that I never wanted it to end. I never wanted this book to end, but yes, I felt happy when it ended, because it was such a beautiful ending. And you need to try this book. This is literally my favorite of all time. I cannot stop talking about this book. So the next book is the sequel of Wonder, that is Augie and Me by RJ Palacio. And this book has three stories, three perspectives of friends that are forced to be his friends, one of them who hates him, and one who is his best friend. So they all three tell their stories, and how they feel about Augie, and how is their friendship with Augie, how they change their mind, how they, you know, they understand that they are wrong, and how they feel for Augie, and how Augie changed things for them. And it was so beautiful and magical. It is, I love the thing that it is linked so much to the first one, but not repeated at all. So it was just beautiful. You need to try both of these books. They are so good. So I just made a video on my recent favorites, and all of the three books are my favorites of 2020. So I will be talking about them too. So the next book is Maybe Someday by Colleen Hoover, and same as Alice Oseman, I love her. I love her writing. This was the first book I read written by her, and this is the one that got me into YA romance. And also got me out of reading slump. I cannot believe a romance book can bring me out of reading slump, because I do not read a lot of romances because I'm not a fan of the genre. But yes, a good one is always my choice to read, and this was one of them. And I cannot forget that this book brought me out of reading slump, and it was so beautiful, such a great story. So this story is about a girl named Sydney whose boyfriend and best friend are cheating on her. So her neighbor across the street gives her a shelter to live in, and then they bond. There is a spark between them, and but the boy also has a girlfriend whom he do not want to cheat on. So this story takes a really really good switch at the end, and it's such a beautiful ending, such a magical one. And also I just loved how it was, and also I cannot wait to read more of her. Next up is Romance for Cynics by Nicola Marsh. This is also YA contemporary. This I read in December or November, and I loved it. I loved it. It was a short read, and also the story was not like all the romances are, like you hate, then you love, and then you marry. The storyline was pretty similar, but the story was completely different, and I loved it. The ending was predictable, but the experience reading it was so magical. So there is a boy who is a millionaire, and like he has to take part in a Valentine's Day competition to prove that he is worth it. So he asks his gardener to be his date. She needs money, he needs a date, so they agree. And they go to the date, they fall in love, and there are problems on the last day. They have a fight, but they make up, and the ending is so beautiful. I just loved it. I loved all the aspects, that there was romance but hatred, and how the story was put together. It was so beautiful. So the next book is Thejumbies by Tracy Baptist. It is a middle grade horror fiction, and this is I guess yeah, this is the first book in the Thejumbies series. I loved the book. I loved the book. I loved the plot. I loved the storyline. I loved the characters. I loved it. I just loved it completely. Like, if you say me how much I loved it, after Wonder, then after Maybe Someday, and then comes the Thejumbies. I love this book so much. It was so beautiful, so magical, and such a great experience. Like, I cannot expect middle grades to be this good. Like, I love middle grades. I just love middle grades. But they are horror, there are magical books, but this one was special. This gave a very different vibe. This story is about a girl who, like, whose village, whose the jungle near the village, there is believed to live the Thejumbies. And then her father is kept captive by one of the Thejumbies leaders, and she is determined to release him. And he is hypnotized in to believe that the Thejumbies are his family, and he have to kill the humans. But she saves her. She saves the whole village from the Thejumbies, and also makes a pact to live happily. But of course, it is a series, so there is a twist at the end, which you need to read. This book is awesome. It was recommended by Gavin from How to Train Your Gavin. I love his recommendations. He recommends so good books. So yeah, this was one of them, and I am so happy that I read it. I This was my 5-star prediction, and it was a 5-star book, and you should read that too. Next book is the novella by Stephen King. Quitters Inc. by Stephen King, and this is a horror thriller fiction. Of course, it's a fiction. This book is only 19 pages long, and you will feel your heart coming out of your chest on the floor. It was mind blowing. Just the 19 pages were so good. Like it gave me goosebumps for every minute I read this book. It was I have no words. Like I cannot explain how much terrified I was after reading it. Like on like 17th or 18th page, the story ended. But then on the 19th page, you thought you were safe. You are not. And it was so beautiful. Like if you have a bad addiction, read this. You will never touch that thing again. I can promise you that. Like it was so terrifying. It I cannot say anything else. Like I love Stephen King, and this is the reason why I love him. I forgot. So this book is about a man who is addicted to cigarettes. So he goes to the company, the Quitters Inc., who, like, the company helps you to give up your addiction. So they give him some tasks. If you don't do the tasks, then you have to get punished, and the punishment is awful. So they keep an eye on you 24/7 so that you do not touch that thing. So if you like they promise, even after even after the services are over and you have stopped, yeah, you have got out of your addiction, but then still if someday you do that, they will be watching. Like not watching, but they scare you. And if people try, like it's in the story, people try, and like they see, like they say that they are over their addiction, then after 2-3 days they do it and they get punished again. So yes, I cannot review this book. Like I will link it down below, you can read that. I cannot say how I feel about the book. So the next book is also a novella. It is 29 pages long. The book is Double Cross by Jeffrey Deaver. It is a crime mystery thriller, and I love this genre so much. So much. I don't properly remember the story, but I can say I was terrified at it. The ending was not that good, but yes, the story was good, interesting. So there is a bunch of people who get a task to uh, to steal something from someone, and they betray each other, and then they have to pay for that. And it was nice reading it. The ending was not that good, but of course it was a good book. Reading experience was really good. It was a novella, of course, a one seating book, and it was good. Like I was not a fan of the ending though. Like it was good, the ending was good, but I wanted more from the ending. But yes, I love the book, I love the plot, I love the storyline. It was so good. First of all, it was a novella, so of course it is good. Mystery crime thriller, of course. And yeah, we can say I love this. The characters were really good, the dialogue delivery of each character was good, and yeah, it was good. And the betrayal from their own kind, it was a nice plot to read. But I really wanted so much from, because I was enjoying that book so much, I wanted more from the ending. I was really enjoying that book. But yes, the ending was good, it was really nicely executed. Yeah, but we can say that a 4-star book, of course, a 4-star book. But I gave it a 4 star. It's in front of me, so I will be linking that down below so you can check out the review and see. I don't actually remember, I read it in in April 2020. So yeah, of course I don't remember what the story is about like properly. I know what the story is about. If I read the first paragraph of it, I'll know what the story is about. It's just like, just now not in my mind, but yeah, of course I loved it so much. So the next book is The Assistant by Catherine Grant, and this was a book I received from NetGalley as an ARC. I loved it. I cannot say anything else. The genre, it was a mystery thriller and beautifully executed. So this story is about two women who are in a fight for a position in the office. Like, not both of them, but one of them is controlling the position of other. She believes that she is doing that. The other one is doing that, who is the assistant of the boss. The girl who wants the post is determined to get it, and she tells her story, and the assistant tells her story, and the story, the boss is killed, and yeah, of course it was beautiful how they both try to put each other down, and how they spread rumors about each other, and how there was always a mystery, there was killing, and there was confidence in it. I loved the book. It was very nicely represented. I loved the character, the assistant character. She was a really cool one, and also, like, she I am a fan of her. I love this book. This is the first book by Catherine Grant. Like, I haven't heard of the author before. Maybe this is her debut. I don't actually know, but of course I loved it, and I thank NetGalley for providing me this arc. So the next book is Everything I Thought I Knew by Shannon Takaoka, and this is a YA contemporary with a pinch of romance in it. So there is a teenage girl who has problems with her heart, so she undergoes a heart surgery where she gets a heart of some other person. Then she discovers that if you get a heart of other person, you get their traits too. So now she is into surfing. Because of that, she meets a boy there, and they'll start loving each other, and they surf together. He's teaching her how to surf. I loved the story so much. I loved it so much. Like, it was mind blowing, and I never expected this. I never expected this in the story. It was beautifully written. It was such a thriller, the thriller was a second genre in this one. It was a mystery, but from a thriller book you cannot expect this, what this book will give you. And I received this arc from NetGalley, and I'm so lucky that I got to read. So the next book, okay, I talked about this book in any previous video, like in a TBR or wrap up video. I don't remember exactly, but all of the things I said about the book were wrong. Like, no, not all. The title was correct, the pronunciation of the author's name was wrong. I was just rewatching that video, and the pronunciation of the author's name was wrong. The thing on the cover, the thing that was written on the cover, I said that wrong. I don't know what I was thinking. Like, I was so excited to read this book, and this is my favorite now. So the book is The Opening Night Murders by James Scott Byrneside, I believe. I don't know what I said in that video. So, no words. No words. It was such a great mystery to read. I loved this book so much. So, this book is about a woman who is an actress, a theater actress, and she gets a note that she is going to die on this particular scene in a show. So she goes to a detective and seeks his help. He is a very famous detective, and he wants to solve, but he cannot stop the murder. Okay, that happens in the very start of the story. But the killer, it was so confusing in the middle of the story, like this can be the murderer, this can be the murderer, he can be, she can be, but the murderer was so unexpected. It was nice. Like, one thing I do not like about this book was that there were so many of characters, and I am personally not a fan of so many characters, because I cannot remember their names. And sometimes, once you talk about a character in one first chapter, and then you talk about that character in the fifth or sixth chapter, like I get confused in so many characters. But the story was a big one, so I got to know the characters slowly. So like after 50 or 55% of the book, I knew their names and their characters, so that was okay then. But yes, the story was amazing. It was so good, such a nice murder mystery, such a good one. Also, after completing it, I read the reviews on Goodreads and NetGalley. People wrote that this is not a part of a story, but this is his second book, I believe. So the first one was way better than this one, and I want to read that book for sure. I want to read that book, and I think he subscribed to my channel too. So if you did, thank you so much. And because I got a notification that James got subscribed to your channel, and I was so happy then. I think I haven't talked about it on my channel, but yeah, thank you so much for that, because I loved your writing. And also, I've got this book from Book Sirens as an arc, and his one more book is out, which I am planning to read very very soon. Not in February, maybe in March, because I am so excited to read more of his books, because I loved it so much. So the next book is Eight Perfect Murders by Peter Swanson, and it is the first book in Malcolm Kershaw series. And also I made a dedicated video on this one, so this video is going very very long, so I will be linking that up in the description, and I will be talking in very short about this book. So there are murders taking place in a city, and the murderer is very intelligent, because he's using a bookseller's list of favorites to kill people. Like, he's using this plot of those stories listed, the novels listed, to kill people. And the book, it got me hooked from the very first page and till the last one. Like, I thought that the story got over like on the second last, or like third last chapter, but I am so happy that I read it till the end, because the ending was unexpected and such a good one, such a good one. And the killer, you cannot think who the killer is. Like, I can bet you cannot think of the killer before they tell you who the killer is. And it is such a beautiful book. I loved it so much. I loved the plot, I loved the storyline, I loved the character. I loved how the character was so confident. I loved how the murderer was hidden. How I loved how he appeared in the story, but you cannot even figure out who he slash she was, because I'm not telling you if that murderer was a man or a woman, because this is what the plot is like. This is what the spoiler will be. So of course you have to read this one, you have to. So the next book is Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. It is a YA contemporary. This book is about a fugitive millionaire whose son and one girl who is finding the fugitive are best friends, and they fall in love later. And the girl who is finding this fugitive, who is determined to find the fugitive, is has her own problems, and I loved how both of them were connected, and how the plot was carrying out her story and also the mystery together, how they were linked and how it was made such a beautiful one. So the next one is The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari by Robin S. Sharma. This is a self-help, I believe it is an autobiography. No, this is a self-help book, and this book was one of the I'm not a fan of non-fictions, I'm not a fan of self-help that much, but this book was something different. Like, it gave me so much good things to learn about. It gave me a perspective. It forced me to rethink on things. If it gave so much good lessons, and I loved the story, I loved how it was executed, I loved it so much. So the next book is Seriously I'm Kidding by Ellen DeGeneres. This is a non-fiction autobiography. I am not a fan of non-fiction autobiography. I am not a fan of non-fiction and autobiographies, and it was both. It was a humor book, and as you know, Ellen makes jokes, and it was beautiful. It was so funny, so humorous, so light-hearted, and like it never occurred to me while reading it that I am reading a non-fiction. Like, it was so nice. Like, when there were some things that she thought you will be bored about, she made a joke of it, and that was the thing. I loved it. And if you think that I cannot click, I can. It just slipped, okay? So it was beautiful. I loved it so much. It was something non-fiction that I really wanted to read, and I read all the books by her. All of them are autobiographies. One of them I didn't like, which I will be talking about in the worst books of 2020, but this one I loved it. I loved it so much. It was there are a very few humorous books that can be good, because some jokes can be hurting and some can be not good, but this one was really good. This one really will will make you feel happy, will make you happy. So the next book is Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert T Kiyosaki. It's also a non-fiction. It is a business book, but there were so many tips that if you are not into business, you can learn from it. It was such a nice. So there is a boy who has a poor dad, not poor, but he is a professor, and he does not make that much money. So his rich dad, his best friend's father, which he calls his rich dad, tells him that how can you make money, tips for making money, tips to use your mental awareness, and how to use your mind, how to use your presence to make money, even if you are not working. While not working can make you money, he told him good things, how he can go on with his life, how he can make his life better and all that. And it was really nice learning so many things that I never even knew. He told him to take risks so that you can go ahead in your life. And now he is a billionaire, and he thanks his rich dad as well as poor dad, because poor dad taught him not to cheat, and the rich dad taught him how to make money, and both of them together makes a very good combination. So book number 18, 19 and 20 is a trilogy, the Dustlands trilogy. The first book being The Blood Red Road, the second one Rebel Heart, and the third one Raging Star. I read this one in a week, and the video will be linked above, so you can check that out. And it was amazing. All the three books were good. The first one was the best, second was good, and third one was good but not a big fan, but I'm the fan of the whole of the series. But if you ask me, the first book is very good. If you want to read, like I said before too, if you want to read, you can also read only the first book. If you do not want to read the series, if you're not a series lover like me, you can also read the first book. But the whole of the series is very very good. The ending of the series is so good. The middle part of the series, where she finds out who she is, where she finds out many things, where she discovers so many things about herself, is also very good. The first book is the story of two siblings, the two twins, and one of them, the boy, is kidnapped, and they do not have a mother, and the people who kidnapped her brother killed her father too. So she's alone with her little sister. So she's on the way to find his brother, where she meet people, they help her, and all of the characters carry on to the second one, and then new characters come there who carry on to the third one. And the ending is so much unpredictable. The ending was, I wanted to be it something else, but it was something else which was very unpredictable, and I really wanted it to be a good one. Like it was a good one. I wanted it to be, I wanted a few people to be together, but they were not at the end, so I can just say that. And it was so healthy, and it was also a little heartbreaking, but yeah, I love that so much about the series. So I think that is it. The 20 books, my favorite books of 2020, and I I adore these books, and I will want you to read all of them because they are really good. So yeah, I can just end this video because it's now a very long one. So yeah, this is it for this video, and we will meet in the next one.